full title of The Origin of the Species? Anybody in here ever read it? Do you remember what the second? It says The Origin of the Species, and then the subtitle is something like The Supremacy of the Races, showing the supremacy of the races. Okay? Basically, evolutionists, or the book was to show you how white people are more evolved than black people. That's in there, by the way, in case you didn't know it. This is why evolutionists thought it was okay to shoot Aborigines in Australia because they're black. Because they're really black. They're dark black, you know what I'm saying? And they said that because of their skull shape and their primitive ways, that they were okay to kill as varmints. Did you know that? It's a horrible thing. Look up the history of Australia. You can Google it. Or Wikipedia. Go look it up. It's the truth. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, no, wait. Back to that one again, because I want to show you something that he says. He says, geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic change. And this is perhaps the most obvious and serious objection which can be urged against the theory. He says that there's no fossil evidence that things change gradually. There's no evidence of that. Now, this was back in 1800s, 1860s, or 1850s, and back then fossil hunting wasn't a big deal back then yet, you know? It was very unusual. So he wrote later on that he hoped that as we discovered more fossils that we'd find more of these missing links, these intermediate changes. But I got news for you today. The missing link is still missing. It's gotten worse, not better for the evolutionist. So he thought if we found more fossils, things would get better. Go to the next one. What is a fossil? The remains and imprints and molds of dead animals and animals found preserved in some way, usually in rocks, amber, tar, or ice. They're not bones. Did you know that? You used to think you find dinosaur bones. That's what I used to think. But you don't find bones, you find rock. It's solid rock. Well, that used to be the case. Used to be the case. Go to the next slide. In the 1990s, I read this article. It was labeled, it was on the National Geographic website. It was called Dinosaur Shocker. That was the title of the article. Well, now listen, they're not by any means Bible-believing scientists at all. They're evolutionists who believe in ancient Earth. Dr. Mary Schweitzer discovered blood cells in a T-Rex bone. Now see, normally what they're used to doing is they find these rocks, these giant fossils of a T. I don't know what a T-Rex is, right? It's my favorite dinosaur. You need to know what that is. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's the one in Jurassic Park. Everybody raise your hand if you saw Jurassic Park. So you know what a T-Rex looks like. Amen? Yes? Okay, so it's gigantic. I mean, it's huge. It's 40 feet long. Okay? And it's like 15 feet tall at the hips. And, they used to draw him walking like this. But how did he walk in Jurassic Park? Like this. With his tail straight out. And as we learned more, see about anatomy, we discovered that it would be impossible for a T-Rex to walk like this. His bones or his tail would have to curve, and they just won't do that. But they're used to finding, see, when they find fossils, they expect them to be millions of years old. What did you learn in Jurassic Park? When did the dinosaurs go extinct? Tell me what that number is. How do you know 65 million years ago? 65 million years ago, dinosaurs went extinct. That's what they tell you. 65 million years. Little grade school kids can tell me that. Ask them. 65 million years. That's when dinosaurs died out. They don't exist anymore. T-Rexes lived near the end of that. So they say the T-Rexes are 65 million years old. If you find a T-Rex bone and you ask a scientist how old it is, he'll automatically just go 65 million years old. But you didn't even do any tests on it. I don't need to. It's already proven it's 65 million years old. I'm not kidding about that. That's really true. But Mary Schweitzer, so what they're used to is they're used to cutting into fossils and they're finding only rock. They don't find anything at all. But Mary Schweitzer cut into this rock shaped like a T-Rex thigh bone and found soft tissue. Found red blood cells. Now I'm going to ask you a question. How do red blood cells survive 65 million years of rotting? Tell me that. I really want to know. She was utterly shocked. Look at what she said. It was exactly like looking at a slice of modern bone. But of course, I couldn't believe it. Why? The bones, after all, are 65 million years old. See, dead men really do bleed. Listen, if you find stretchy tissue in a 65 million, that's a miracle. If it lasted 65 million years, you ought to believe in God because He preserved it from rotting. Isn't that amazing?